Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to make this snowman for the Snowman granny squares. This is the written pattern. Obviously I corrected the typos. This is free on my blog. I'm going to link it down below, and you could also buy the pattern if you'd like. So you're going to need white, black, and orange. These are all worsted weight Lion Brand Vantage Choice. This is, I think it's called terracotta, but it's basically orange. You're also going to need 2 safety eyes. These are 6mm with the backings. If you don't want to use the safety eyes, you can easily just use the black yarn and make French knots. You're going to need a G 4.0mm hook, some scissors, and a needle to sew in your ends, and also to sew in the nose and the mouth for the face. So we're going to start with white. And we're going to start by making a magic ring. Once we have our magic ring, we're going to chain up 2. And then in the ring, we are going to half double crochet 10 times. So half double crochet is yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, and then pull through all 3 loops. So we're going to do that for a total of 10 times. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you could pull this tail end a little bit as you go along, just to kind of tighten up the ring. 7, 8, 9, and one more makes 10. So once you have those 10 half double crochets, go ahead and grab this tail end and pull it tight. And then we're going to join to the first half double crochet. So we're going to ignore that chain 2 in the beginning. So for the second round, we're going to chain up 2. And then in this round, we're going to make 2 half double crochets in each of the stitches around. So make sure not to skip this first space. There's 1, 2, that was in the 1 stitch. And since we're doing 2 stitches in each stitch around, the previous round was 10 stitches, there should be a total of 20 once you get all the way around. 1, 2, the same stitch. Okay. So then in this round again, we are going to join to the first half double crochet. We're going to ignore that chain 2. That chain 2 is really just acting as a heightener, if that's even a word. It just gives the other stitches height to start the round. Third round, chain 2. And then in this round, we are basically going to alternate between 2 half double crochets and then 1 half double crochet. in every other round. So in the first stitch we're going to do 2 half double crochets. In the next we're going to do 1 half double crochet, and then in the next 2 half double crochets, and then in the next 1 half double crochet. So we're going to keep alternating like that all the way around. So essentially we're just making a circle for the snowman head. So once we get to the end of the round, you should end with 1 half double crochet in that last space, and you should have 30 half double crochets all the way around. So again, we're going to join to the first half double crochet in the round. We're going to ignore that chain 2 in the beginning. So that makes our head for the snowman. So fasten off, leave a tail, oops, because you will want to sew this onto the granny square. So leave a good amount so you could sew onto the square. Once you have your head, we're going to start working on the hat, which is done separately in black. So hopefully you guys can see this. I know it's tricky to film black, and probably that white was a little washed out as well. So start with making a slip knot. And we're going to chain up 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we're just starting with a chain, and then we're going to do half double crochets starting in the 3rd chain from the hook. So count in 3, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, and do your half double crochet. And we're going to do half double crochet all the way across. Just 1 in each stitch. Alright, once you have that, this is going to be the brim of his hat, and we are going to fasten off and leave a bit of a tail, because once we're done with this hat, we are going to be sewing it onto the head. So leave a bit of a tail so you can sew the edge onto the head. So now what we're going to do is find the beginning, and we are going to count in 4 stitches from the right. So this is going to be difficult to see, but there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to attach our yarn in that 4th space from the right. I just pull my yarn through and start crocheting, and then I'll crochet over this tail end to kind of secure it in. So once you have your yarn attached, attach it however you are comfortable with. We're going to chain up 2, 1, 2, and the chain 2 is just going to give the stitches a beginning height, so we're not going to count that as a stitch. So we're going to do our half double crochet into that same space where we attached the yarn. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we're going to do 8 stitches across, and then we are going to turn our work, chain up 2, and again we're going to half double crochet across. It should be 8 stitches across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we're going to do that again for one more row to finish the hat. So turn your work, chain up 2, and half double crochet across for 8 stitches, which should be all the way across. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and one more makes 8. Okay, then when we fasten off, leave a bit of a tail as well, because we will be attaching this to a granny square. So there's your hat. So you will want to sew this on top of your snowman. So here we left a tail end, so then you could kind of weave it in down here, and then you could start sewing it across the head. So I sew my hat on last when I sew it onto the snowman's head. So make his face first using your safety eyes. I place these between the first and the second row, about, let's see, that's about 2 to 3 stitches apart. Okay, and if you're using these safety eyes, I would recommend putting the backs on last, just because if you put these on, you can't take them off if you for some reason aren't happy with your placement and you want to change it around once the whole face is done. So we're going to do the nose. Take about, I'd say, a yard of your orange. Actually, maybe just like 12 inches would be fine. And then take your yarn needle and tie the one end. I just knotted it like 3 times so it won't come through the yarn. So we're going to start we're going to come up from the back right where the middle of that magic ring is. And then we're going to go back down about, not the whole stitch, I'd say like half a stitch, maybe 3/4 of the way down. And then I'm going to come back up, like right here, if you can see that little space there. So it's like one stitch out. I'm going to come back up. Okay, and then I'm going to go back down right here. So I'm basically doing a back stitch, and then I'm going to come back up at that point, and then I'm going to go back down up here to make the outline of his nose. So there's his outline. If you're not happy with the outline, just take it out and do it again until you like it. And then I'm going to come back up at this point, and then I'm just going to fill it in. So I'm going to go back here, like a little bit farther down, so I can fill in that space. Come back up through the point, and then go back down. So that was 2 times that I went back and filled it in. You really only have to do it a couple times, unless you want to make it like bumpy. So there, that's filled in. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to turn it to the back. I'm going to make a knot around one of the stitches. And I'm just going to cut off the excess, but not too close. And obviously all this will be hidden behind once you sew it on the granny square. So there's his nose. And then we are going to use black yarn to sew on his mouth. So grab about a foot or so of your black yarn and thread it onto your needle. Make a knot on the one end. I always do 3 knots just to make sure it doesn't go through the yarn. So to do the mouth, we are going to do a back stitch, just kind of like how I did up here. So I made the mouth between the 2nd and 3rd rows right here. And you can make it as big as or as small as you want. I'm going to start about here, and we're going to go from behind to the front, and then we're going to go down, over 1 stitch and down. And then when I come back up, I'm going to come back over 1 stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to go back down to where I went down previously. So this is called a back stitch. I did this stitch because I like the little stitches, because I tried to make just one big long stitch, and then I realized it's probably not a good idea if it's a blanket, because it might snag on something, or if you're washing it, it might snag and just kind of mess up the blanket. So just keep doing that, using the second and third rows, like the in-between, as a guide, because it creates a perfect little curve there. Alright, maybe one more. So go up a stitch away and then go back down to fill that in. Alright, so I'm happy with that. So I am going to turn it around and make a knot. So what I'm basically doing is going through like a loop of a stitch. Well, there's two there. And I'll grab my yarn, wrap it around my needle twice, and then pull my needle through. And that somehow makes a knot. My mom showed it to me, and I think it's the easiest way to do it. And then cut off the excess. So there's your snowman face. Once you're happy with it, I would say go ahead and attach your safety eyes, the backs of it, onto the eyes, and then go ahead and sew your hat onto the snowman before you sew it onto the granny square. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you'd like to, you could subscribe for more crochet tutorials, and thank you for watching.